Hello and welcome back to the A Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Ameer Hamid. Joining me today will be Mauro Cesario. How are you, buddy?
How are ya?
Oh, yeah, buddy. All right, so it's just me and you today, Mauro. We had a great week 3 in the NFL.
Week 2.
Yeah, week 2. It's all good. I hate how they scheduled the games, because there was like 7 games in the early period and then 3 in the late period.
Yeah, that was kind of awkward. I was flipping between the 3 of them at 4 o'clock. Because I think they normally do like 2 4:05 and then like 1 or 2 4:25s. But like after the 1 o'clocks, yeah, it was very, very like boring flipping between the 3 or only having the choice of the 3 as opposed to 4 or 5.
I normally have Red Zone running.
Yeah.
And then maybe another game I'll have. So Red Zone at 4 o'clock, there was no point. And it was just, like I could just get the highlights on my phone and stuff.
The Bears and the Broncos just both didn't want to score until right at the end of the game.
There was no point of watching that game. What was the other game? New Orleans. That
Rams was supposed to be a barn burner, and then somebody went down.
Yeah. So let's go through our picks. Me and Brant had a very successful week. Mauro,
and some big signs of regression. Man, oh man.
Regression on third place. So
already. I'm just widening the gap between us here. I got to start picking the exact opposite of what I really think. You're just digging the hole
for the bigger comeback later, right?
If I somehow manage to even this out and slip ahead by the end of the season, you guys will never hear the end of it.
Probably. Okay. So Thursday night we all lost, taking Carolina on that against the Bucks. Arizona and at Baltimore, another huge week for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Another week really another week for Mark Andrews, man. Like he's putting up big reception numbers and touchdowns in back-to-back weeks. I think he's.
I really wish I had him.
They've always said that tight ends flourish in Baltimore, and I think this is just another one.
You know what I never understood? So not this past draft, but the year before, they took Hayden Hurst in the first round, and then they took Mark Andrews, and I was like, why would they take a 27-year-old in the first round, first of all, or 26 or something, however old he was, and then take Mark Andrews, who in the third round when he went, I was like, I'd rather have Mark Andrews, and lo and behold, you can see he's the better player. So that makes no sense to me. But Baltimore looks like a wagon so far.
Yeah, they're rolling right now.
Next game we had Chargers at Detroit. All of us lost that one, taking the Chargers.
I had a nice ticket going. I mixed in some soccer bets with the 3 NFL games, the Cowboys game, the Chiefs game, and then all I needed was the Chargers. And then he throws a red zone pick to end off the game, and I was so pissed.
And was that going for the tie or the win?
They were down. They were down. I want to say 13-10, and the field goal. They didn't want to use the field goal unit because Badgley's injured, and they had the punter kicking, and he had already missed 2 field goals within like the 40 to 50 yard range, and they're basically like no. So he ends up throwing a pass into like double coverage for Keenan Allen, and it just no. They busted my ticket and a couple of other people.
Never had kicking problems before.
Yeah, well, it's due to the fact that Badgley was injured. I mean, he's been pretty reliable of late. I mean, this past game and then last season he was really good. So I mean, I could see why. Like they missed. I think those 2 points would have put them up 16-13, and it gives them the game. So. That one I feel might have costed a lot of people, aside from just me, their ticket. So I was kind of upset by that. I agree.
And then the next game we had Indy at Tennessee, and that was another one where Tennessee baited us into thinking that we could rely on them and they would be good this year. And lo and behold, they go and lose against Tennessee at their home. So I mean, like, I don't know what the hell to believe with Tennessee. One week they look amazing against Cleveland, the other they're struggling.
That whole division's a toss-up because, like, I don't know. I think so. At least aside from obviously the Texans, I feel like the other 3 teams can all go like 8-8.
Yeah, and they could be in the wild card mix. You're right.
That's what I mean. Like, obviously, the Texans are the front runner in the division, but like the Colts, the Titans, and the Jaguars are all teams that you look at and say, "Hey, this team could compete," but like I don't see them going more than 9-7.
No, you're right. The next game was an absolute like.
Okay.
Cincinnati was gonna suck this year.
Yeah.
But you figured that. Against San Francisco, that's like one of those games that even in a shitty year where you go like 3-13,
yeah,
that's one of those games that you kind of win.
Mm-hmm.
And they lose that one in glorious fashion.
Yeah.
Was it like 41-13 or something?
41-17, I got it here.
Ridiculous.
I mean, the 49ers are rolling too right now. I mean, I know that their competition...
Jimmy G's looking good.
Tampa and Cincinnati, I wouldn't say are the biggest tests, but I mean, hey, they beat them handily.
And they went on the road for both games. So
that's even the scarier part. They took both of them on the road. And now they come back home to Pittsburgh, which is going to be another one.
Which is a totally winnable game.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, it's obviously before the season, not one of those ones that you think you're going to win, but,
yeah,
you know, in light of certain recent circumstances, a winnable game for them. Next one, we all had Jacksonville at Houston, and that was a close one, right? Late. Oh yeah, that was the one with Leonard Fournette where
that was the one where they goal line stuffed them.
Minshew's cooking them, goes down the field, scores a touchdown, right? And then they go for the 2-point conversion, and then Doug Marrone chooses to hand it off to Leonard Fournette
and stuffed.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what to believe with Jacksonville, because like part of me is like they have a good defense, but then with the spat with Jalen Ramsey, and then the bonehead decision to run the ball after you're moving the ball, throwing the ball to get into the end zone, you don't put it in the hands of your quarterback Gardner Minshew. But
this team had a lot of good things in place at the start of the season, and now it's just unraveling right before their eyes by week 2. Like, Nick Foles comes to play with the offense run by the old offensive coordinator, and now their best defensive player, I guess you could say. I mean, I don't think there's anybody better than Ramsey on that defense. No. I know that there's a lot of star power, but I mean, now to have him one out, this isn't the way things definitely were planned when they first started, and it's gonna be a tough season if they want to.
No, and I don't know who can realistically. I mean, obviously, a lot of teams are going to want to trade for him.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that didn't get Mink and Fitzpatrick, I think, are going to try to at least to get him. I think Dallas could be on him. Philly could be in on him.
I'm sure we'll get into it more after.
Trade him out of the conference. Huh?
Yeah, definitely. I know we're going to talk about it more, but like that's a steep asking prices of what they're asking for right now. But they got a lot of big things on their plate right now that they got to deal with.
For sure. Houston, I don't know what to feel about them. Like, I believe in Deshaun Watson. I don't love the defense.
Yeah, I haven't really been sold on the Texans. They had a really good game against the Saints in week 1, but I mean, damn, to have it edged out or to edge just barely edge it out on a freaking but an extra point attempt that they stuff for 2, like that's cutting it real close.
It up, like right now is, you know, you played a shootout and you lost that one against New Orleans in hostile environment in the Superdome. Yeah. And then you go on the road to play the Jags against one of the best defenses in the league, and you play a close one and you squeak that one in.
Yeah.
I think they'll take 1-1. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable way of putting it.
The next game, I had taken Green Bay. You guys had taken Minnesota, and I was kind of gloating early on because Aaron Rodgers got off to a hot start. I think it was 21-7 in the game or something. Then I was like, "Oh, don't it was
21-0.
Yeah,
then it started like it was like a complete rout.
Oh, don't you guys feel bad that you took took
Minnesota?
It was
complete. What do you call it? The tale of two halves, like complete epitome of that. I mean, Dalvin Cook, man, he's basically the front runner in this offense. Like when he's been healthy, he's been a monster, and I mean, it showed they couldn't get the job done, but still.
but I don't know how reliable it is to just count on Dalvin Cook.
And that's the problem, because they bring in Kirk Cousins, they pay him a big contract, and again, like, you got weapons coming out of the wazoo, man. And
you got Cook, and then you got Thielen and Diggs.
Yeah. Even Rudolph. Like, Rudolph's a pretty reliable, like, target come the red zone. Like
Smith. They're tight end they draft in the second round. Also, like, the only thing I don't like is that QB.
Yeah.
You know what would be interesting? There's been rumors like that. So basically on Fox or something, Michael Vick predicted that this would be Cam Newton's last year in Carolina. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, Minnesota would be a real nice fit.
That'd be interesting, honestly, because
it'd be unreal.
I mean, I don't know
how that would work logistically.
Yeah, like, getting him there would be one thing, because
I know with how much money Kirk Cousins is still due.
Yeah, that'd be a tough sell if you're the Panthers.
But if they want to move him, who knows? Let's see the next game. Dallas at Washington. What's your thoughts on that, Mauro? If you have any?
I mean, the Cowboys just keep rolling. I mean, they were up, I think, big early on. They had Devin Smith, I want to say, like, because I know Gallup went down in this game, and basically Dak is finding weapons out of guys. Like, I'm not a very big fan of Dak to begin with, just as a rival team, but I mean, they're playing well, and you know what they say, when the Cowboys do well, the NFL does well. So, I mean, I think that they're in a very big hunt here for the division. I don't think Giants, Redskins will compete. So, getting this one on the road, getting this one on the road, I mean, by 10 too, is a good division win for them. And they're doing it, and the thing is, like, they're doing it without, like, Zeke having to, like, be carry the offense completely. Like, that's what's scary too.
And the thing is, like, you're not relying on Cooper to be that one receiver.
Yeah.
You have Gallup, who you can trust. Devin Smith is Devin Smith, coming out of the draft out of Ohio State, he was thought of being like one of the safest guys, because he could just run deep and you'd catch the ball. And a myriad of injuries was like the downfall of basically why he didn't succeed with the Jets. And then now you're seeing Dallas use him, and I think they'll start to use him more if he's the 3 there. That's sweet. And Randall Cobb looks rejuvenated. Jason Witten's still just reliable. Blake Jarwin's been good for them early.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard as their backup. Like, it's as an all-around team that Dallas has had in years.
Yep.
Maybe like since the DeMarco Murray year that he went off.
I agree with that.
Next game, Seattle at Pittsburgh. All right, so this was it was ugly early just because of the Chris Carson fumbles, and then Big Ben gets injured, so that wasn't great.
James Conner goes down after too. Like, this one was just ugly from like top to bottom. I mean, at least from the Steelers' perspective.
Yeah, and the Steelers, were they up at some point? And then
I want to say they were up, and then Conner left the game.
Yeah, because so I have it as in the fourth quarter, Pittsburgh scored 13 points, and Seattle scored only 7 and still won by 2. So,
damn.
Mason Rudolph didn't look that bad, and I guess so. Basing it off of the move that they made, trading for Minka Fitzpatrick, trading their 2020 first round pick, I think that they believe in Mason Rudolph.
I think they're being handed the keys, and I know I was hearing this yesterday on the game. They were going over it. You know, Ben didn't really want to be the guy to like mentor him, just because I feel like he was having his job at stake, and now he feel like he has to be the guy to play as that assistant coach, and he wants to help drive the team forward. At least, he knows. Which I'm like, this season's done with.
Dick.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, it's your job to, because if a scenario like this happens,
then exactly, like you have no choice but to be that guy.
Precisely. An interesting aspect that I want to see is the tandem of Rudolph to James Washington.
Yeah, I heard that one of the Steelers fans I know was telling me exactly, like, right away. You'd think Juju becomes the automatic first weapon, but apparently, like, they got a very sick history. I don't know which college.
Yeah, they went to college together, Oklahoma State.
Okay, so they're both Buckeyes.
Yeah. No, not Ohio State.
Oh, Oklahoma Sooners. Or
No,
not even the
Oklahoma
Sooners. I'm not good. I'm giving up. Screw this. You try and put something out there and it doesn't work. Screw me.
Oklahoma State Cowboys, I think. Pretty sure.
Okay, yeah.
And
My knowledge is limited.
Oklahoma Sooners.
Okay.
Two different. But yeah, they set a ton of wide receiver records to James Washington during his time there. So I think he'll be good. I still think Juju's the number one there.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's the end of Pittsburgh. At least like they weren't gonna bottom out. So it makes sense getting a piece like Minka Fitzpatrick, because if he can be like half of what Troy Polamalu was, it'll be pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think he's just so safe. Like in terms of what Pittsburgh has had in the last couple of years with the divas that they've Antonio Diva, but like Le'Veon Bell, Big Ben, like just by bringing in a guy like Minka Fitzpatrick, it's a level-headed kid who's not going to have any issues. And the only issue that he had in Miami was the fact that they were playing him at strong safety and not free safety or corner. That was the one problem that he had. It's like, that's not the position I play. And I mean, I think PFF, Pro Football Focus, they ranked him as the 7th best corner in coverage or something. So he's pretty fucking good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of the deal. I mean, Ben already committed to wanting to come back and playing out the rest of his contract. So it'll be interesting to see, because, the defense was, I wouldn't say was the weak point of the team last year, but I mean, definitely adding somebody to the secondary, it'll help them remain in the hunt as long as they got Ben. So it shows that they're not willing to just give up and basically completely start a rebuild.
Yeah, and you have 2 or 3 more years of Fitzpatrick, because this is only his second year. So you have the 3rd and 4th year, and then the 5th year option. So
yeah,
it's a piece long term, and
yeah,
it's better to get him in your system now than wait for the off season and then trade for a guy then, or draft a guy. Like, it makes sense to ingratiate them if they're going to be a core piece of a part of your team, to do it now than in the future. Okay, next game, your beloved New York Giants against the A team, the Buffalo Bills.
The Giants versus our team, the Bills. Although I didn't partake in the festivities.
Well, you took the Giants and you suffered.
I took the Giants. I mean,
what's your thoughts on the game?
It kind of seemed like a stupid pick. The Giants went up early. I mean, Saquon had a nice, it was 30 almost 27-yard TD run. And then basically Josh Allen just started picking apart the defense, because the Giants defense sucks. And I mean, there wasn't much to it more than that. I mean, it could be Eli's last ever game started, for all we know.
Yeah, so let's talk about that now. Daniel Jones was named the starter this morning. Mauro, what's your thoughts?
We are about to embark on a new era in Giants football history. I mean, I know everybody always says, like, Eli's done. I mean, yeah, like, the past couple seasons have been rough. Like, he had a bounce back year relative to the year before. So obviously going into this season, eventually they were going to have to make the decision. And I mean, fuck, what more could you have asked from the guy? He won 2 Super Bowls against the GOAT. And I mean, eventually you had to move on from him. So I was listening to what Max Kellerman had to say. He thinks it's a mistake. So
putting him in so early?
I mean,
I don't disagree with that.
Like, I've been talking a lot about it today with other people, and it's like, it's gotten me wondering about what the Giants are actually planning on doing. Like, what is their main focus? Like, they never really built a solid foundation around these kids, and now they're going to throw him into the fire. So, like, as much as I'm happy and excited to see him play, like, I feel like he's not being put in a situation where he can succeed.
That can benefit himself. That's what I'm saying. Is that I don't know if now is the right time, because maybe like week 8 or 9 or 10, like in that kind of range, not week 3 to where he can get beat up on for how many more games?
And now this is the thing. Like Max Kellerman said it. Like, you're basically going all in right now, saying that he's a starter. Like, you can't go back and say no. Well, now we're gonna start Eli, because then then it
crushes Daniel Jones's confidence.
Exactly, and you're basically, sailing a rudderless ship. Like, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to do as an organization if you're going to commit to your kid, and then eventually by the end of the season, you throw in a couple more stars for Eli? Like, I'm excited to see him play. Like, don't get me wrong, but like, just as an overall thing, like, I don't know what is really being the focus here.
Yeah, my problem is like, not only throwing him in so early, is what weapons outside of Saquon?
That's what I mean.
What weapons does he have right now? It's Evan Ingram and nothing.
Sterling Shepard's got a concussion. Golden Tate's out still with the thing. Darius Slayton's injured. Like, he's not being put in a situation where he can succeed.
Week 5.
That's what I mean. And even like, just, if you're gonna start Eli from the beginning of the season, just play it all out. Suck another year. Like, honestly, I wouldn't care if they did, because I'd rather that and have him come
this year was
ready,
about
fresh.
Developing Daniel Jones.
I mean, I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes, but I mean, you saw what happened when Mahomes sat out a year behind Alex Smith.
He sat out, but then they started him.
They started him in like week 14, like he might have played like 1 or 2 games that season.
That was the last game of the season.
I think, he probably only played 1 game, but I mean, like, to force him into this situation now at week 3 where you're 0-2, realistically, there's no goal for this team, because you're not going to compete in this division. You've already lost to the Cowboys, so there goes a division win that you realistically weren't going to get in the first place. So, I don't know, like, I don't want to say it's troubling times ahead, but I mean, definitely one that I don't really see where the focus is being put on as a Giants fan.
No, I agree with you. Next game we have, Miami got absolutely slaughtered by the New England Patriots.
Yep.
And Antonio Brown played well.
Yeah, he got his touchdown, he got his yards, and he was looking mighty happy about it. So, I mean, I don't know what to make more of this Dolphins team. Like, they have no willingness to win. It doesn't even look like they have a willingness to compete. Nothing against the players, but I mean, like, damn, back-to-back weeks now, they're going into a deficit of 20 points as an underdog. So
my thing is, like, you trade Minka Fitzpatrick because you want to get, a first-round pick. Makes sense. I'm fine with that. Yeah. If you don't see him as a cornerstone for your team, or sorry, he wanted out, so you granted that.
You grant him that, yeah.
Then you see Xavier Howard tweet out, the Fresh Prince gif of basically Will just looking around and there's no one there. And I mean, why don't you trade Xavier Howard also? I know you just signed him, but by the time that Miami's legitimately going to compete again, he's going to be out of his prime. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. If you can get a first-round pick for him, why don't you trade him also? Like, and then you're going to trade Kenyon Drake too, apparently, because he's on the block. This team legitimately has nothing.
They got 3 first-round picks, but not really a competitive roster to be worried about if you're any sort of opponent going up against them. So, I mean, like, I don't know how frowned upon this is in the NFL, because, like, we see it in other leagues where, like, teams kind of just suck. But, like, never do we, like, the Browns, an 0-16 season, we get that. But,
in the NFL, like, it seems so much weirder.
Yeah, because, like, there's only 16 games. Like, to go a full season without a win is kind of, like, absurd. Like, in other seasons where it's 82 games or 162 games, like, you don't really see that. So, I mean, this is going to be a tough year for the Dolphins. Thank God I'm not a fan of that organization, but I mean, damn, like, even next week, like, Dolphins on the road. against the Cowboys, like, I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know, but they're gonna have as much draft capital as any team in the league.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And so if they get the number 1 pick and get Tua, with the other 2 first-round
other 2 first-round picks, they can shore up whatever they want.
Get whoever they want either. Like if they want like Jerry Jeudy to go with Tua, they'll have enough assets to go up and move up in the draft to get him.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy that they just have that.
Like, but from that perspective, yeah, I 100% agree. Like they're committing to losing, which I mean I don't personally disagree with. But I mean, it's gonna be hard to watch as a fan. So,
but my thing is, don't half-ass it.
Yeah, you got to be all in.
Get you assets, go trade them. Like right now, they only have a couple guys that are legitimately going to be on their team for the future, with their first-round pick Christian Wilkins. But like other than that, legitimately anyone could be gotten on their team. It's crazy. Let's move on to the next game. Kansas City at Oakland. Oakland went up. What was it? 10-0 or?
They were up early. Yeah, I was watching that game.
That was interesting. I mean, we all got the pick right choosing Kansas City because, my God, Patrick Mahomes is unreal. But
man,
the thing is with Mahomes, now you just need. He is not that he's Brady-like, but there is a real aspect to him of. Put wide receivers around him that can just run, and he'll get the ball to them. Look at Watkins, look at Hill, and then now you have Demarcus Robinson and Mecole Hardman. He came
out like a cannon, like Jesus. Like he used all of them too. Like Hardman got a touchdown, Robinson got two. I mean, Kelsey's there still, but I mean, he didn't even have to do anything.
And yet he still scored like 20 fantasy points.
Exactly, like. Damn, like there's nothing this like I'm a very big Patrick Mahomes fan, like huge on him. Like I don't think there's in terms of fantasy wise, I don't think there's anybody that can even come close to him, and I don't know how well you can translate that into the argument. You know, there's no
of real life.
Yeah, like there's no QB right now that is as good as Patrick Mahomes. Like is there a case you can make for that right now?
No, I think he's far and away. Like that's one of the reasons why. I mean, if we're talking fantasy-wise, I would say...
Untouchable.
Early on, I would say that like Lamar Jackson's close to him.
Okay. Yeah.
Is the closest one to him
the closest,
early on.
Yeah.
But I still think that like he's so far and ahead above everyone. It's crazy. It's legitimately crazy. The one thing though that still scares me about that team, and like I wanted them to be in on Fitzpatrick and Jalen Ramsey, is that your defense sucks, man.
Yeah, and that's
really
will be the killer for them. Realistically, they put a guy like Jalen Ramsey on this team, and again, I think you got your AFC championship match set, right?
Yeah,
I feel like that's fair to say.
Yeah.
I mean, was it them that added Frank Clark? I'm pretty sure it was them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're the closest thing. Again, like they took him to overtime last year. I mean, you get Tyreek Hill back later on in the season, like the team's gonna be there.
I'm just not a fan of like their second. So outside of Tyrann Mathieu, they have Travarius Ward, Daniel Sorensen, Rashad Breeland. That's not going to get it done.
No.
And then their linebacking core, Damian Wilson, Anthony Hitchen, and like Reggie Ragland.
Houston's gone?
Like, this isn't... Huh?
Justin Houston's gone?
Yeah, he's in Indy.
Oh, well, yeah. He was always a steady Eddie there.
I don't believe in their defense. Like, their core of their defense. And that's probably going to be their undoing. Well, that's the thing. Like, win it all.
Going into week 3, they've got Baltimore. And, like, right away, I pegged this one as a shootout. Because you're talking about the top two
but the thing is, though,
right now.
Is that
Baltimore's at least got a good defense.
If we're ranking let's rank the units in the game in terms of offense, defense. Number 1, Kansas City offense. Number 2, Baltimore defense. Number 3, Baltimore offense. Number 4, Kansas City defense.
Yeah. And it's a very steep drop, I feel, from that 3 to 4.
Yep.
So,
and it's not right now. The 2 to 3 though isn't the biggest gap in between. Like the defense,
correct.
Baltimore is an all-around team right now. And as great as Kansas City's offense is, how shitty their defense is makes Baltimore's offense that much better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's so much easier to score on them versus I that's probably the matchup of the week. I wish that was on Sunday Night Football or something instead. Because what is on Sunday Night Football this week?
Oh, I'm not even sure.
I can check. Don't worry. Rams, Browns.
Even the running back situation in Kansas City scares me a bit because they went into this season committed to Damian Williams, and now they've got Shady. He's basically out touching him most of the or at least getting more of the higher percentage looks.
Even.
Yeah. So I mean, that's another point I feel could develop into something bigger come end of the season. Like, what are they going to do come playoff time with one of these guys? Barring any injuries that makes one of them a clear-cut starter.
For sure. Moving on to the next game, New Orleans Rams. You guys all took New Orleans, and then you got.
It was the grudge match.
And by Aaron Donald.
It was the grudge match.
The rematch of last year's NFC Championship game, and the right team won again.
And they did it pretty convincingly.
Yeah, well,
I know that the injury plays a big factor in it, but
there was also the touchdown that should have been a touchdown, but the
Cam Jordan went
down.
off.
So they fucked New Orleans again.
Yeah.
But I don't know, what do you expect the refs to do there in that scenario? Because if you don't blow the play dead, and they score the touchdown, then you basically have to go back and be like, it's got to be conclusive that to overturn it.
Yeah.
I think if they made it to where it doesn't matter what they called on the field, whatever you see it as now, you can call it as. None of this stands. None of this. It's either confirmed or not. It's what you believe.
After seeing it, after you've seen it in its full,
let the play run. It's either a touchdown or he was down. But there's no determining factor of whether it's enough to overturn.
Yeah.
Because then you're making it easier for the defense there that's recovering, and then screwing the offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He had some choice words. He had this probably prepped from the start where it's normally the guy, the footlocker, the ref, throwing shade right away at them.
Who, Cam Jordan?
Cam Jordan in his post-game interview.
Yeah, love him.
Damn, man. 2 in a row. And they had the guy, what's his name? I forget his first name, Perry, of the officiating team with the NFL. He had basically ums and haws about what went on in the game yesterday, or rather on Sunday, and basically that
is he expert or what?
I forget his title, but I think he's part of the NFL.
Mike Pereira?
No, not Mike Pereira. Something Perry, Parry, and I think he's part of the NFL's.
Oh, the head of officiating.
Head of officiating, or at least in that department.
Gotcha.
And he's basically saying it could have been handled a little bit differently.
For sure. But in this game, it's interesting to see what the Rams are doing with Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
Because people are worried about him in fantasy and stuff, and I guess there should be some worry because Malcolm Brown's been vaulting him for all the touchdowns, but I think it's more they're just managing Todd Gurley's workload because the drives that they went and ran in touchdowns with Brown, it's just that Gurley wasn't out there, and they're basically giving him series off.
Yeah.
So I think it's better for the Rams, but if you have him in fantasy, it kind of sucks. That's just my thing. And okay, so the Drew Brees topic of him being out, he's out 6 weeks now because he's getting surgery on his hand.
He's getting surgery on his thumb. Yeah.
That's brutal.
It's gonna suck. They got Bridgewater coming in, so I mean, I know he's the highest paid backup in the entire NFL. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's gonna finally get his shot since Minnesota to finally run an offense.
But the thing is, a lot of people they casted aspersions on Bridgewater off of being called in out of the blue, basically, against the Rams, and saying, "Oh, he doesn't really have it. I want to see what Taysom Hill has." And I'm like, "Yeah, I also want to see what Taysom Hill has, but let's give Bridgewater a shot." I don't think that you can judge a guy based off of being thrown into a game against the NFC representative in the Super Bowl and being like, "Well, go win this game." You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's unrealistic.
Tough ask. Next game, Chicago at Denver. Chicago finally has a kicker.
Eddie Pinheiro, yeah.
Mitch Trubisky does not look good, though.
He was. I remember hearing he was supposed to be a sleeper for MVP. That aged real well.
He doesn't have a touchdown yet, right?
No, I wouldn't think so. Do the Bears even have a touchdown?
They do.
Damn,
they just got one that last game.
The offense has been
been their leading scorer.
That's what I mean. He's been the only consistent player. I mean, the defense is bailing them out. I mean, they're going on the road to the Mile High, and they're keeping the hometown Denver Broncos to within 14 points. I know it's Joe Flacco, and everybody always has their things to say about him and his ability to run an offense, but I mean, you're keeping it close and keeping it within striking distance for your offense, and basically Pinheiro is the one that's putting up
bailing you out. Yeah,
14 of the points.
The saving grace though for Trubisky is that he's went up against two good defenses so far, at least what we believe is two good defenses in Green Bay, and then we know Denver has a good defense, but I don't know. I just don't believe in Trubisky.
No.
I never have. Last year when everyone was riding his dick of how good he was, I just didn't believe it. I didn't buy into it. Just because look at his wide receivers and his options. I like his running backs, Cohen and Montgomery, but I'm not a fan. Allen Robinson isn't a 1 in my opinion. He's more of a 2, and then his other wide receivers,
Who does he got? Anthony Miller and Taylor Gabriel.
They don't do it for me.
I mean, you could chalk it up to having, a lack of.
They're not bad, but there's
not,
no.
Yeah, they're not.
He doesn't have a number 1 receiver.
But that's the problem. His lack of a number 1 receiver, it's so predictable. Every target, as far as I've watched, he targets Allen Robinson at least 90% of the time. How?
Yep.
It's hard to run an offense when there's a lack of talent surrounded, or surrounding your quarterback, rather. Sure. So, I mean,
for sure,
it's going to be interesting to see how they're. Well, and another thing, Matt Nagy refused to play them in the preseason. And I feel like this has always been a case for me as to why they haven't been able to get things, because it's not gelling the offense one bit. And I feel like it's probably overblown, sure. I think you need
but
to have,
it's probably overblown. Some bullets, but have seen something.
Yeah, I feel like they've just come into these 2 games lost offensively. Especially
young player too. There's a difference between there's a difference between Aaron Rodgers not playing in the preseason and Mitch Trubisky, it's his second or third year starting. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. They're 1-1, right? So I think you take that. You take what you can of that. I mean, you lose your home game, but you take your one in Denver. So there'll be a team to look at.
If you told me before the season they'd be 1-1, I'd believe you. It's not a death sentence for them.
Yeah.
They can turn it around. It'll be interesting to see, though. Mm-hmm. You got bailed out big time by Atlanta in the Sunday night game, buddy.
Oh my!
It would have been 11 wins. It would have been 11 wins for me and Brant.
Well, to be fair,
6 for you.
To be fair, just to go back to that game, the Bears. That was a crazy sequence at the end where I thought I had it.
Yep.
I thought I had it, and then they go down with 31 seconds. Damn me. That's unbelievable. Joe Flacco leads them. They get their 2-point conversion ready. They get an offside. They get a false start. They go back. They kick. McManus misses.
Hearing about it.
Oh, it's an offside, and now they push it back to the 2. They convert, and then they go back up the field. Like, it was unbelievable. But yeah, the Falcons versus Eagles was a fun game to watch towards the end of the game.
Eagles.
Oh, Falcons versus Eagles, rather. It was fun because, what was it? It was a 4th and 3, and he goes into the flat for Julio, and he just goes off for like 54 yards, I want to say. And that bailed me out in one of my fantasy leagues. Jeez. And it saved my pick, because there was a big drop.
But then you had Wentz also on 4th down.
Well, that was a bad turn. I don't know. Like, what's Ertz supposed to do there? Like, you're talking about where he threw...
No, I was saying the previous one where he throws and, like, he's falling down and then he somehow gets it up.
Oh, that was a crazy play. Yeah, that was a crazy play downfield. My knee was just barely not down and he gets that off. That was crazy. Yeah. But, I mean, by the same thing...
Unreal. Like, and then, but
Aguilar dropped that.
Like, you have to run past the sticks. You can't run and then stop.
He stopped up, yeah. But even that, like, I think it was Aguilar on the wing, like, he had him beat. It goes right through his hands. He just missed it. And that would have gone for at least a 50 to 60 yard gain. And everybody's saying it would have been a touchdown. Game over.
Yep.
It's one that they'll look back and think they got, but they should have had.
He sets the record on on the screen pass. It was a fun Sunday nighter. It was ugly for Wentz early on, though.
Yeah. I didn't catch the beginning of the game, but damn, the end of that game was crazy.
Yeah, wild. And then the Monday nighter, you had all of us taking Cleveland, and it was a boring game. Like, I watched for like a couple minutes and then I was like, nah, I'm out. And then I see on Twitter, Trevor Siemian's ankle snap.
Yeah, he's season-ending surgery as of a couple hours ago, apparently. So
3 QB injuries this week.
It would have been funny because mono costed Darnold. This ankle, that it looked gruesome when you saw it, because it literally looked like it popped out. Simeon's gone. Then you got, I forget his first name again, Luke Falk.
Yep.
He comes in. I don't think he played that bad. Like, it's a tough ask. Again, like, you're asking a quarterback to come in mid-game and try and salvage whatever you can of it. So,
Who also hasn't gotten reps with these number 1 guys.
Exactly. So you're throwing him into the fire. There's not much he can... They had one good drive where they took it basically to the red zone, and they got caught on a 4th down and they turned it over, which would have been a nice way for him to get himself into the system, assuming he's going to be the starter in the weeks to come. So, I mean, we're going to start with that again. I mean, hey, who else is there? I'm sure Nate Peterman's going to make his name will surface.
Isn't he on
the Raiders, I want to say.
He's on IR, isn't he?
Oh, if he's injured, then oh well. But I feel like whenever this kind of thing happens, like, it's always funny because it's the same old names, like the Josh McCowans, the Nate Petermans. They always end up resurfacing. The Ryan Fitzpatricks, I know he's with the Dolphins now, but like, it's always these old veteran guys that end up making an appearance, and it's funny. Like, in game, it would have been funny also too, because would it have been Bell
of like the same guys?
Yeah, like, would Bell have had to start at quarterback if Falk went down? Like, that would have been crazy.
If Falk had gotten injured?
Like, they had nobody else. That would have been funny.
But then I don't put Bell out there. I'd be like, fuck this. We're just kneeing the ball out.
Well, I mean, sure.
Like, there's no point of there's no point of injuring Bell somehow.
Yeah. Njoku got lit up. That was scary.
Oh,
I just wanted to make that look. Ooh. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. That was pretty crazy.
Like, you'd see his neck, like, all turned on the turf.
we're gonna move on to NHL then, right? We got a couple of signings. We got, I think, 5 to our list now, as since we last spoke about Marner. Who do we got? Yep. We got Brock Besser, Travis Konechny, Ivan Provorov, and then the 2 Bruins as well, Brandon Carlo and Charlie McAvoy. So I thought this would happen as soon as the Marner deal happened. I figured that eventually a bunch of these dominoes would fall. I think it was basically telegraphed, right? Like, in terms of the AAVs, I think the Bruins did a really good job. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like, I think Don Sweeney hit this nail on the head, because was it 5.9 for McAvoy?
Around there, it was
there for 3 years. A lot. And
and I think
the Carlo deal is 2.85.
How it escalates.
Yeah, like the timing of this deal makes so much sense, I think, for me in terms of the McAvoy deal, because he's signed to a 3-year deal, and that carries him until the end of the 22 season.
Yep.
Going into 23, and by that time, Krejci's off the books on like a $7 million contract. Backes is off the books on a $6 million contract. It's gonna make life a lot easier now that they've been able to push this down the road, and they're going to be in the right financial means to make it happen for him, because I think he's going to be the guy moving forward.
It's smart how they planned it out, because it gives you more time to realize if McAvoy is like a cornerstone or if he's just like a really good player, but not, one of the guys that you can pay $8 or $9 million to. Exactly. So they buy themselves time, but then they also have cap flexibility now.
Exactly.
They don't have to, would it be nice to get him on a long-term deal? Sure, but you still you now have security.
And especially since these guys, Bergeron, Marchand, they're all in their 31 to 33, 34 range, where they're still highly competitive, and they just made it to the Cup final. You're not going to waste those years, and they're doing this in a way where they're keeping themselves flexible, like you said, where they can still.
The Carlo deal I find interesting, because like, as a Leafs fan, you're worried about a guy like Travis Dermott being on the last year of his ELC.
Okay.
So then, could Travis Dermott legitimately ask for more than Brandon Carlo? I don't think so.
I think that's a reasonable price range for him. Yeah, like $3 million, 2.85. I think he got. Like, that's, I think, a fair number for Dermott.
I thought it's even less than that. I don't know.
I mean, on a high end, I don't think how much more would you want to be paying Dermott than $3 million, right? Like, I think
I wouldn't pay him more than $3 million.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
The Philly guys. You got any thoughts on the Phillies guys? I think, or the Flyers guys rather.
Okay, so I love the Provorov deal.
Yeah.
I think that's a great deal to be done. The connecting deal, it was what 5.5.
I want to say 5.5 by 6 years. I'll confirm that.
I got it. Don't worry. So 6 years, $33 million. So around 5. So it's fair.
Yeah.
But I'm just not huge on Konechny. I don't know. Like, he's young. He's good. Like, don't get me wrong. He's good. But
considering what they've got,
$5 million just seems like a lot for a guy that's never scored over 50 points. I don't know.
Well, look at what Couturier is putting up, and he's only at 4.3.
That is one of the sickest contracts in the league, though. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think, but that's the thing. Like, all these RFAs are forcing the hands of these GMs, and they're getting their money early. Mm-hmm. Like, and this was, you said 6 years, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, like on a longer term deal, they're gonna ask for a bit more. So, I mean, you're giving up the term as a player, but you're getting the higher AAV, and I think, as much as it is a little bit steep.
If I'm a team, he's hitting free agency at like 28, 29. At that point, I'm like, peace. But I get him at $5 million, 5.2 or something.
Yeah,
that's fine. It's not awful. He's a good player. He's a piece.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a level of a Kapanen or a Janssen, right?
Yeah, I'd say that.
Because let me look at Kapanen. What did he put up last year?
Kapanen, I'd say 40 points, close to, if not 50.
44 points. So fair, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's 6 years term. The Provorov deal, I'm fine with.
I think he got a good number, 6.75. Again, comparable to Morrissey, right? And these guys are both guys that will take steps forward in terms of their role, because in Winnipeg you see Trouba gone, you see Myers gone. He's going to step in, right? And I think the same goes for Provorov. He's already pushing Gostisbehere in terms of power play. So he'll get his fair share of minutes now and an added role.
I was listening to 31 Thoughts, and Elliot Friedman was like, if there was any of the guys that their contract year weighed heavily on them, it was Provorov, and his numbers took a decline. Like, he scored 10 less goals because he had 7 last year. The year before he had 17. I don't know, that the Philly just seemed like it was an awful year for them.
Yeah.
So I'm still high on Provorov. I like him. I have no problems with their deal. What was
the last one was Besser. That one happened last night.
That was a bridge also, right?
That, I want to say, was a 3-year deal.
Yeah, at
5.
How much was that?
5.75, I want to say. I'll confirm. 5.875 rather.
It's a lot.
It's a lot for a guy who I mean, he's been injured the past couple of years, right?
What'd you just say?
He's been injured during his entry level deal.
Yeah,
so
62 games and then 69 games. Nice.
Gronk. I think this is going to be interesting because they got the Calder Trophy winner in Pettersson, who's going to come up in 2 years, and this is basically going to set the benchmark that he'll probably get like double. I don't know.
Yeah, and then Besser's going to want. Well, okay. So that's going
to be back-to-back years for them, right?
But this could be kind of good. It's however you want to take it, because you could say, Provorov. Sorry, I got Provorov stuck in my head now. Pettersson is going to go the year before Besser, and he's going to get paid whatever he's going to get paid. Let's say 12.
Yeah.
Then by the time that Besser goes up,
which is a year after,
arbitration, or he's going to say, "Oh, I want that."
Yeah.
But then I guess the Canucks, on the other hand, can say, well, that's like our internal cap. You can't get paid more than that. Fall in line at here's 7/10 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it could be good and bad in both ways. What other? Is that all the deals that we had?
That's all the ones that are in place. But I mean, I know that the big one that still hasn't happened yet, and there's been developments today about some sort of talk. Patrick Laine, not impressed, I guess. He had some choice words for the organization today.
Yep.
Basically calling them out, saying, for lack of, or for, to paraphrase, there are lines in this league that are deemed like NHL's best, right? And then, NHL, the Winnipeg Jets have a line, or at least the players that could be up there, but then, he's basically talking about how he gets, put in the doghouse playing on the third and fourth line at times, and he was just flat out calling it out. And then Wheeler came in.
He's like, you don't put your worst players, like your best players, with if I go to another team, they put me with their best players. You know what I mean? So
we had seen it with the Leafs, right? Like where Marner had his time on the fourth line and Nylander had his time on the fourth line. I think it's just a matter of how you respond to it.
For sure.
And I think obviously the frustration of not having a contract, and now with training camp underway, preseason already underway, I feel like it could have just been a little let up from him, or he's just speaking his mind. And
it could be just stuff that was lost in translation. Who knows?
Yeah, you never really know, but
he's one of those guys that he wants a bridge deal.
Yeah. Because I feel like last year, not being able to put up the amount of numbers as he did the year before, he's definitely got something to prove still.
But what's his bridge number?
That's the almighty question, because they've got, 15 between him and Connor, who's still got to get signed? I mean...
So Like, legitimately, I think he's
7?
gonna ask for like 3x7.
3x7, and then you pay Connor what? Like,
I'd want to get Connor locked up long term. Like, I love Kyle Connor. I think
I think he was in my opinion, he was the better player. Statistically, he was, and I think that he's a lot more complete.
He's all around.
All around, I think he's got the tools right now that are better than Laine. Like, Laine's got a much higher ceiling, I feel.
Yeah.
Like, his skating needs to improve. He's got the shot.
Okay.
But
if we're trying to compare them, Laine's ceiling is Ovechkin-ish.
Yeah.
While Kyle Connor is like winger Couturier.
Yeah. But like right now, Kyle Connor's game is more complete.
Closer to Couturier than Laine is closer
to Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at that point, how can you justify paying one more than the other? Like, because he hasn't done it yet, right? Like, he hasn't reached that full thing, and until he does that, I think a 3x7 is reasonable, like you said. And I mean, in terms of Connor's number, like, I don't know, like, what did Keller get? He got 7.
I think
it'll be close to there.
I think should be like 8x8.
I think as an ask, yes, but I think it ends up falling closer to 7.
Fair. I think that's a fair deal. Like, if I was a Jets fan and I got Kyle Connor at 8x8, I'd be like, okay, cool.
But you're paying Blake Wheeler $8 million already.
Yeah, I understand that.
And you're paying. I think he's better than Nikolai Ehlers. So I mean.
Yep, and he's getting 6.5.
And he's getting 6 on the dot.
Okay.
Scheifele's getting 6.1, which is a steal and a half.
Yeah, that is nuts. I think Ehlers could be on the move. I don't know.
If they move on from Ehlers, I could see this being an $8 million deal. But like, I feel like the Bruins and the Jets are very similar.
7.2, 7.5.
Yeah, like I feel like the Winnipeg Jets and the Bruins are like very similar in the way they've structured their contract. Like all in between that,
players.
Like all their players are within like 7 to like 5, like 5 to 8 million. Like nobody's high above that 10, like you see other teams like the Leafs. And
for sure,
I mean, it ends up translating to a well-balanced lineup, right? Like depth all the way throughout. And I mean, you got a guy like Kulikov coming off the books at the end of the year at 4.3. I mean, they're going to have room at the end of the day to get things done later on for Laine, I think, in terms of after his bridge.
Yep. You at least you hope so.
Yeah.
And then the last bit of news that we have is the NHLPA decided not to exercise their option on a lockout. What's your thoughts on that, Mauro?
I'm excited. Yet. Yeah, thank God, not again.
No early lockout. What is it? So what was it? Like a year difference? It was. They can exercise it when earlier or now?
I think now, but they've chosen not to, and they've taken the next 2 years. I think 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, all in all, the good news is that we're not going to be missing hockey for another 3 years, which is always a good sign to hear because. Especially with the cap going up and up and the way things have been going in terms of players. So the
lockout would have been next year, but yes. So like they could have exercised it to where there would be a lockout next year.
Yeah.
So yay for hockey, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, thank God.
They're just prolonging it, but there probably will be one.
We're probably due. It's been since 2013? And before
2013, I think.
And before that, it was
2012, 13,
2005.
Yeah.
So, every 8 years, from 2013, 2021, it could be close. I don't know. Knock on wood.
Is that all the news that we have, Mauro?
I think that's everything we got.
All right, so we'll be back Thursday, Friday, Saturday, who knows, with our picks. We'll see you guys then. Peace.